Nation of Fit in 10, welcome to day 48. And it is the first day of the third round of scans. And I just want to remind you that if you are one of those people who is afraid to come in for their scan, you don't want to book it because you feel like you haven't made any progress, I will tell you more often than not when people say this, they've usually made great progress. So let's get away from how you feel and let's get to more methodical ways. The number one mistake in weight loss is being emotional, doing a little bit of this. The number one way out of that is to become methodical. What are we doing specifically with the diet? Calories, more specifically macros on a daily basis. What are we doing for exercise? Where is everything on paper and what are we actually doing? This is what matters, even though your heart matters. I'm not saying it doesn't, and I'm not saying your feelings don't matter. There is a reality out there, and the way you feel is not a reflection of what's actually happening, okay? So let's get into more of your feedback here. This person says, aside from coconut oil or butter, what other types of oils would you recommend? Prefer liquid form oil. There are many types of oils like sesame seed oil, not so great. Don't use sesame seed oil. Olive oil, yes, would be okay. Walnut oil would be okay. Almond oil, I think would be okay, but I've never really seen it. Should be fine though. I think. I'd have to actually check on that. Let me get back to you. Safflower oil, definitely not. Avocado oil, yes, that's fine. How can I tell by looking at the nutrition information if one type of oil is better than the other? Go back and look at day 41. I believe it was day 41. I did a video on fats. Generally speaking, we're looking at fats that are primarily saturated and or monounsaturated. We want to try to avoid the polyunsaturated with the exception of fish oil. Fish oil would be one that I would highly recommend. Of course, we don't want to cook with fish oil, certainly not. It is highly unstable. It is highly polyunsaturated. It's very unstable, but it has very good properties, namely when we talk about fish oil, that EPA and DHA that we can only get via the diet, what we call essential fat, the omega-3s. And just a reminder, we don't have we don't possess the enzymes necessary to get that EPA and DHA out of plant-based omega-3s, unfortunately. And that's not to say that things like flaxseed oil aren't good. Flaxseed oil is fine. You can supplement with that. There's other benefits you'll get from flaxseed oil. We just can't get that EPA or DHA, unfortunately. Or we can only get a little bit of it. And when we talk about cooking, yeah, again, more of those generally speaking, more of those saturated and monounsaturated fats, okay? Go back and take a look at day 41. So another question here, is it better to do cardio in an empty stomach? Okay, is it better to do cardio on an empty stomach or do cardio 1 or 2 hours after eating? I find it very difficult to do the cardio on an empty stomach. Thanks. So you've already answered your question. If you find it hard, I want you to eat and then do your cardio. There's a lot of claims out there that fasted cardio is going to burn more fat, and that may very well be true, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's still going to be an overall balance. So while you may use more fat for fuel by doing it empty stomach, you will just make up for that via your consumption for the day. The overall balance is not going to make any difference, or will make very little difference. I've always liked doing empty stomach cardio because I don't really like doing cardio. And so I like just to wake up if I can and just do cardio. Unfortunately, my mornings start at 4 a.m. and I really don't want to get up at 3 because I'd have to do that if I were to do cardio first thing in the morning. So if I'm doing it, I have to do it after eating, and it's a real pain in the butt. Remember your motivation, and I know I'm going off topic here a little bit. If you want it, the number one time that'll be easiest for you to do something that you don't want to do will be first thing in the morning when you wake up. So in your case, the answer to that question is have a meal, wait an hour or two, and do your cardio. All right. let's see, what else do we have here? Here's another question. I heard it's best to avoid eating food that is high in fat before working out. Why is that the case? Fat is very slow digesting. Fat will slow down the absorption of food. So this might be the one case where, yeah, you're quite right. You don't want to have fat before you work out. If you're going to eat, maybe eat something that's low fat, but gives you some carbohydrates and gives you some protein. That way the food will digest a bit faster and you won't be digesting it when you're working out, and that could potentially give you an upset stomach. Even if it doesn't give you an upset stomach, really what's happening is when you're working out, you're pulling that blood to your muscles and it's taking away it's taking away from the digestive process. Remember, we need to be in that parasympathetic state, that state of essentially rest in order for digestion to take place. We don't want to be in a sympathetic nervous system state, that state where we are sort of in that fight or flight. And if we're working out, we are going to be in that state for sure. So you want to make sure that you basically have close to an empty stomach, or at least are eating foods that are going to digest very quickly. So around training, we want fast digesting foods. It's kind of like the one exception to my rule of getting, fats and fibers with your meals. Okay, message of the day on this day 48, surround yourself with people who elevate your game. Surround yourself with people who elevate your game. You want to be lifted in your life. You need positive people around you, and you always need people that will help to push you out of your comfort zone and help to push you further towards the things that maybe make you uncomfortable. Ultimately, you want people who are supportive towards your goals. So make sure, at least in large part, that you surround yourself with people who elevate your game. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, and for the love of God, give some gratitude, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.